Right, well, we're back to CB radio, and this is coming in its box. My goodness, I thought it was a video recorder coming through the door, and he's packed this and packed this and packed this. Number one for packing. So, Rotel 240 in original box. Let's hope it's original condition inside. What does he say? I hope it's arrived in one piece. Yeah, it certainly has. So this is Chris's set. We'll leave it at that on names. And what we'll do, I'll write the specifications on the back of his letter instead of on a leftover prayer or Bible reading from church. I've got a cup of tea here in a mug that somebody did the route we go on and sent it to me, but they're a bit dark to kind of have printed. So he's even sent the service manual, factory mic, it's got the side bobbles in the box. I better put his rubber band back in the box. Power lead. Oh. License application form. And a radio that's not been resprayed. I actually think he said that copy of the service manual was to keep, and that's my copy, and I think this could be better, so I'll just make sure that was the case. I don't want to waltz off with it. Trouble is, I've scanned ours A3, and the A3 printer is currently in storage because I keep saying we're having building work done June, July, whenever. So we better start by, I'm going to open it up, because what I don't want to do is, if there's a malfunction or something there shouldn't be inside, to see it go up in smoke. The radiogram isn't quite finished, if you've been following that. The part 2 out of 3 is uploading, which is where we've done the electronics, and when we did all the capacitors on that and plugged it in, there was a nice, well, it was dead, and then I replaced a secondary fuse and there was a bang in it fused, and it was a right wild goose chase, and the reason turned out to be nothing to do with us, but a really silly reason. Excellent. I'm sure you get a bigger speaker in a Binatone 5-star. I think you got short measure on this one. I will take the bottom off this, but not at this stage. Serial number. Change glasses. $20111969. Not know how they work, but it's quite clearly a high up one. It's had soldering on there for whatever reason. Right, we'll get it powered up. That's N-type. I'm trying to plug it into the N-type. Because I've been doing some UHF stuff. And for those of you who like Cybernet radios, there's another Cybernet coming through the door yesterday, which is a Harrier CBX. So it's very similar, of course, to this. And just in case you like Cybernet radios, there's a Harrier CBX base station, Harrier CBHQ base station on its way. Somebody's won it on eBay and having it shipped straight to me. And I'm looking forward to that, because at the end of our on-the-air test, we're going to do on-the-air to our base station, aren't we? And of course our base station's a Harrier CBHQ. So what's going to happen when we go CBHQ to CBHQ? Will there be some kind of temporal anomaly and Doctor Who comes... Are they still doing Doctor Who? He had a long scarf when I was watching it. Okay. Comes on channel 9. If you want tone in high, power into normal, channel 9 off, normal, CB, delta tune to central, squelch to minimum, RF gain to maximum, mic gain to maximum, and dimmer, of course, works the opposite way around to what you expect. So we'll switch picture in picture on. Now it's come up on my monitor as being working. Oh dear, oh dear, oh do 2.8 watts. That does need attending to. Deviation. Wallow. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Wallow. It's 3.5. Oh, that's not good either. That needs to come down. I should be making notes, shouldn't I? We'll scribble on this instruction book. Rotel 240 TX power 2.7 watts. Deviation 3.4 kilohertz. Frequency. Let's switch to the other camera. Hello? Oh, we're on 19. Channel 20. 79109. So that's dropped, which happens. It's still within spec, that. But we may as well pull that up right now, because it's the easiest thing there is to do. So if we find the trimmer capacitor next to the crystal, I've gone the right way for once. There we are, 791.26, toggling 5. So we've done that. So we'll look at receive. We'll better dial that frequency into the signal generator, or we'll be on UHF, where we left it. We'll go up to the cyanide meter. And we're hearing that at 0.3 of a microvolt, which is good, absolutely great. So where are we with it? Wow. Right. I'm going to think we're going to end up fixing this worse, I think. It's a lovely phrase, isn't it? You fixed this worse. RX is 0.23 microvolts for 12 dB cyanide. Well, we're not going to get better than that, but I'll still go through it all. I've probably said before, but I got this wonderful phrase when I was doing my apprenticeship in church pipe organ restoration, and a bit lower down than the church organ workshop in Nottingham, which was off Carlton Road, was a shop that did alternator and starter motor repairs. And at the time I had, which was quite elderly at the time, I had a Datsun pickup truck, a 620 model. And one day the starter motor wasn't working right. And it was right at the bottom of the engine, and I'm not surprised. And by this time the vehicle was, you know, like, when would it be? Back when we were here, 85. So, you know, it was whatever. It was about a 10-year-old vehicle. Anyway, I took this starter motor in for them to sort out, which I did. Which was a Mitsubishi model. There was a bloke in there who brought something back. I don't know whether it was a starter motor or an alternator. And he goes, "You fixed this worse," he said crossly. And that's where I got the phrase from. Amazing what you pick up over the years. Okay, well, we'll delve straight into this, because I think Chris has got some test gear. Oh, good grief, that's the service hole on the floor. The service hole that I need for finishing the radiogram off. Oh dear. So I've remembered that we have a floating chassis on these. So I need to connect this to the power supply negative. We need to select channel. See, I've already forgotten. I think we start on channel 40. May as well use this new shiny manual. So, yes, select channel 40. And there we go. I'll just turn the volume down because it's annoying for some people. You know, you notch all these tones out of your brain when you're working in an electronics workshop and you've got all these noises. You just don't hear them. So we need resistor. What is it? It's the top end of that. Well, it's test point 1, but it's the top end of resistor 4. That's it. So we've got we'll just have that up. I know this seems silly, but they always end up short of what the manual says, I'm sure. So we'll just turn that up to 4. And then we're going to transmit, and it's 3.7, so we just need to bring that up to 4. As I've said loads of times before, if you fail to set the VCO, this is where you can end up with channels dropping out with temperature extremes. A bit like the Midland 78 blue display in our test car. And then you go to channel 1 and you check it's between 1.9 and 2.5. And it is on receive. We're going to transmit, and it is on transmit. So that's the VCO set, and then you won't have channels running away from him. So now remember to go back to channel 20. There's nothing worse than tuning a whole radio on the wrong channel. And we're going to do that coil, and that coil. They do have a number. I think it's T2, 3 and 4. So going to transmit. That's definitely the centre. That is. And that is. Now we move on to the green trimmer tool, and we're going to do L4, L8 and L9. So all of these now go to peak. And that's about what you normally get, which is what we've got now, which is 4.5 watts. So they've all been peaked and double checked they are peak. So I'll tell you what, we'll triple check, seeing as it's Chris, and we'll just make sure that's still peak. There we go. So now what we do is rotate L4 clockwise to get 4.4 watts. So now we're detuning it from 4.4. We're detuning it from 4.5 to 4.4. So it's clockwise, and this is important for the channel 1 to channel 40 to track at the same power output. And then we adjust L9 anti-clockwise. You know what? When I've croaked it, and there's going to be people watching here who haven't seen a clock, they go, "What's clockwise mean, Daddy?" Yeah, when it goes round to the right. So we're taking this to the left, and it says in the manual to set it to 3.8 watts, except we're setting it to 4, which is what we've just done. So that should be set if it's tracking right, and it really needs to be. I'd like it within 0.2. Do you know what? I've just done all that, and I've got it on the wrong camera. Right, well there's 4 watts on the screen. I apologise about that. That is stupid. Right, so we're on channel 20. So key up on channel 1. It's about 3.95. Key up on channel 40. It's about 4.05. So as far as I'm concerned, that's tracking correctly. And you never know, when it cools down, it might even do more power. Out of interest, let's see where we are on the power. So let's turn it down to 12 volts. And the radio now does 2.8 watts. And let's turn it up to 14.4, which is what some cars charge at these days. And it goes up to 4.3 watts. There we go. Good. You'll get another 100 yards on that now. Doesn't drop T in radio. So what's that meter say? It goes well across, doesn't it? It says 5. So we've just, it's that preset there. Oh. Am I doing the wrong one or something? Oh, is it that one? That's low. Yeah, it is. So what I've upset is low power. So we'll go into low power and we'll rectify that. So it should be 0.4 of a watt. You know, lots of people at the time thought it was quarter watt because it saw 0.4. It isn't, it's 0.4. Okay, I've turned it down to nothing. There we go, 0.4. We'll switch that back to normal. Now we need to do that deviation. So we need the mic gainy one to centre, whatever it is. And then we'll get our trusty instrument out. And we'll turn that down. Wallow. 2.2 to 2.5. Good. Right, we'll move our attentions over to receive. We'll put an S9 equivalent signal on. And we'll show the oscilloscope. We'll turn off the bench light. And we'll put up sufficient volume that can be seen clearly. So what we're looking to do is to have maximum recovered audio from the detector or discriminator, whatever you want to call it. And it's the coil down here. That's the S meter. That's the squelch. This is the detector all on its own in the naughty corner. Now, can we get more out of it? Are you ready? No, it's absolutely spot on. Right, we'll go over to that cyanide meter and make his sensitivity worse. We're not putting this on the spectrum analyzer because it's never been messed with. So I've followed the instructions absolutely to the letter, and you know it's not a set that's got any coil stretching or anything like that. So we're quite safe not to triple check. So we'll see whether we can get anything else, which we won't, out of this radio. So there's our first coil for adjustment. There's our second coil for adjustment. The third coil. Right, we'll just put a bigger signal on for these IF ones. Go over to the other tool. And then there's another one which is lurking under this wiring. There we go. Now I did not see any improvement. but it's also precision that you can't always see it, which is why we're having the instrument. So now we're going to recheck the cyanide reading. So I've actually got that virtually at 12, haven't I? So we'll say that's at 12. It's 0.24. So it's exactly the same. Now, I mean, I could say I fixed it worse, but I haven't, because we can unset this and set it again on the test equipment. I mean, I can say you've got to be taking an average. I could say I could turn that down to 0.2 and it's 11 dB, couldn't I? Yeah, I mean, I could say it's 2.2, but I'm not going to. That's how I read it, and that's how it is. It's exactly the same. I don't often come across that. I reckon Chris must have a jolly good signal generator and he's been doing it. Right, we need to do the squelch, and that is something which not everybody can do. So I'm going to turn the radio to full squelch. I'll put this on the attenuator controls. So there you are, full squelch, radio is silent. Now we're going to turn up the attenuator, and I want it to come in at 100 microvolts. So if you have the squelch that doesn't open until greater than that, it's pretty pointless. And if you have a squelch which is not as powerful as being able to squelch out 100 microvolts, then it's a bit wishy-washy. You know, you're driving through and there's interference from people's internet and that, and you can't squelch it out. So here we go. 1 microvolt, 3 microvolts, 10 microvolts, 30 microvolts, 100 microvolts. It's spot on. Absolutely spot on. Doesn't need adjusting. So now we'll look at the S meter. It's spot on. It doesn't need adjusting. If it did, it's the preset there for the S meter and there for the squelch. So we will just check the squelch at the other end of the spectrum. I'm switching the signal generator off. It's now on standby at 0.3 of a microvolt. Turn the squelch down on the radio. Set it for threshold. Put the radio on. And squelch is just about come through at 0.32 microvolts. It's disappearing off at 0.28, so that's fine. So that's an alignment only. It's not often that happens. So we'll put the lid on it, but we'll take the other lid off. You know, it's very easy to get these tags on, so that the only thing holding it on is the plastic sleeving. Then you send the radio back, and in transit, of course, they vibrate off. So just turn it off. There we go. Right, time to put it on the aerial. So we'll turn off the test gear, turn off picture in picture, unplug the instrument speaker and all that. So the only silly thing is you've got the deviation far too high, and I keep saying it's not like AM, where higher percentage within reason and you're going to get better range. On FM, although obviously you don't want it as quiet as the mouse, like the new sets are when they come out of the box, you do not want it going over the edges of the channel, so to speak, or wider than the filtering. If you've got deviation which is too great, it's alright if the person receiving has got a radio as wide as a barn door like a Fidelity 1000, but if they've got a more modern set or one with crystal filters in general, then it really is going to chop. Banana Roger. They'll be about 30 miles away, I expect. Okay, there we have it. Rotel RVC240 from 1981. In its box. Really nice condition. Someone will break into my place tonight and end up nicking that box because it's worth more than anything else. Thanks for watching.